The issue of concussion in sports has been a growing concern in the media recently with sports like football and boxing. The term concussion is an umbrella term used to describe instances of traumatic brain injury of varying severities. New research is constantly coming out as their long-term effects on athletes, creating concerns in the sports community. However, young athletes need to be added into this equation, and awareness of concussion in this young community needs to be addressed. To better understand this issue, we must look at all the different aspects of concussions. To start us off is a brief history of concussion in sports. According to an article in the Journal of Athletic Training on cerebral concussion in sports, attention to sports-related concussions did not become a medical concern until the early 90s, making a relatively new topic of research. This issue researchers faced early on were due to many different types of concussion symptoms, all of which were originally grouped into one term, concussion. So what exactly is a concussion and how does it affect the individual? Take a look at this informative video from the Center for Disease Control about concussions.
Concussion is a type of traumatic brain injury, or TBI, caused by a bump, blow, or jolt to the head, or by a hit to the body that causes your head and brain to move rapidly back and forth. This sudden movement can literally cause the brain to bounce around or twist in the skull, stretching and damaging the brain cells and creating chemical changes in the brain. What you might not know is that these chemical changes make the brain more sensitive to any increased stress or injury until it fully recovers.
As you can see, a concussion is damage to the brain, and depending on the severity of the nature of the concussion, different things within the body are affected.
The type of concussions that we want to focus on is a sports-related one classified as a mild concussion, also known as mild TBI, traumatic brain injury. So what exactly is mild TBI? As defined in the article, Youth Sports Concussions, published in the Journal of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation Clinics of North America, it is a direct or indirect force to the head that results in immediate short-lived neurological impairments that resolves spontaneously, typically followed by physical, cognitive, emotional symptoms, and sleep disturbance. As a parent, coach, or teacher, it is important to know what a mild TBI is and also to know the many different symptoms and signs of them so you can identify a child that you think might be suffering from one and get them the help that they need. As a general guideline, any atypical behavior after the injury can be a sign. Shortly after the injury, things like dizziness, poor coordination, or confusion are general symptoms. Also, atypical behavior hours or even days after the injury, like slow cognitive processing, emotional fluxes, being spacey, and trouble sleeping can be signs. Therefore, as people who are closely interacting with these children, it is critical that you know these symptoms so you can bring it to the attention of the parent, or if you are the parent, so you can take the child to get tested for a concussion. Since a concussion is damage to the brain, a child can face many different constraints, which range from structural damage and cognitive function constraints to motor development and skills constraints, which need to be taken into account when helping them during the recovery phase. Tests that are given to assess people who have had concussions can give us an insight on what exactly is affected by what they test for. In the book, Mild Traumatic Brain Injury in Children and Adolescents, a chapter is dedicated to balance testing to explain the reason why balance and coordination is often affected. In the chapter, they describe that the maintenance of balance requires the functioning of both sensory and motor processes. They summarize by saying sensory organization requires the central nervous system to process and integrate information from the sensory systems, including timing, direction, and amplitude of postural responses from the inputs.
So what does that all really mean, and why is it important to understand? It means that if the central nervous system or brain areas that are responsible for sensory information integration are injured in a concussion, then balance and other motor skills can be affected. Knowing the constraints now placed on a child pertaining to their motor systems as well as their cognitive abilities that we've discussed is key in helping them during the recovery process. For teachers, certain accommodations should be given due to the new constraints. Things like extended time on assignments and tests, or letting them go early to walk to class so they don't have to deal with other students as an obstacle. For coaches, it's important to know when a student can return to play, and that's basically done after the doctors give the okay from post-concussion assessment tests. And for parents and life at home, you should accommodate the child as needed, reducing the amount of complex or mental tasking skills like extracurricular activities or even homework or chores. We hope this video has helped you understand and become aware of the issues of mild TBI in young athletes. More information can be gained through online resources like the Center for Disease Control and National Institute of Health.